Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, welcome to the Small Business Community of Interest webinar. My name is Tamel Harbison. I am with the national team as the Meetings and Programs Assistant. And the title of today's webinar is Competitive Intelligence Tools Demo Part 1 with Fedmine. This is a follow-up webinar to our previous Small Business Community of Interest webinar specific to finding competitive intelligence on your opportunities. But before we begin, let's go over a few housekeeping rules. We ask that you mute your phones. You came into the webinar in a listen-only mode, and we ask that you submit all questions during the event via the chat functionality. During the presentation, or the webinar will be recorded, and Fedmine system is a proprietary product protected by copyright and copyright infringement laws, confidentiality and non-disclosure requirements, and other applicable intellectual property rights, which pretty much means you can't take this information or the recording and use it for your own benefit. I'd like to introduce our presenter for today's webinar. Her name is Arkisha Mihan. Hope I pronounced that right correctly. She is a seasoned professional with over 25 years of diversified experience in business management, strategy, and finance. At Fedmine, she helps execute the company's growth plans by bringing on new clientele and engaging with our partners and government agency clients, focused on providing superior federal business intelligence. Deeply rooted in the business and federal community, Arkisha is an advisory board member at the Maryland Women's Business Center, secretary for the SAME SBC COI, member of AFCEA's Small Business Committee, and is a loan committee member for SBA 504 loans at the Business Finance Group. Arkisha has her MBA in finance from the University of Stirling, Scotland. And also who will be assisting her on her presentation today, we will say the prospect for the presentation is Joshua Frank. Award-winning business coach, professional speaker, and best-selling author, Mr. Frank is a nationally recognized authority on government sales and business acceleration. With 30 years in the government market, he speaks nationally on federal acquisitions and business strategies. He specializes in the development and implementation of techniques and strategies required to differentiate positions for and win government contracts. His training sessions, highly educational and thought-provoking, are consistently rated the top sessions at national conferences and events. Managing partner at RSM Federal, Mr. Frank is author of Amazon's #1 bestseller, An Insider's Guide to Winning Government Contracts, Real-World Strategies, Lessons, and Recommendations. Mr. Frank was awarded Veteran Business of the Year and Industry Small Business Advocate of the Year by SAME. Serves on board of directors for the St. Louis Veterans Business Resource Center. A former intelligence officer, master's in management information systems, and master's in business administration. Those are our presenters, and I would now like to turn it over to Arkisha.
Okay, thank you so much, Amel. I'm hoping everyone can see my screen.
We can see your screen.
Welcome. Perfect. Well, welcome. My name is Arkisha Mihan from Fedmine. We are a small business that was incorporated in 2004 by our CEO, who was actually a government contractor himself with an 8A certification. So truly, Fedmine was built with his vision of the type of data he wished he had access to when he was running his government contracting firm. We went live in our platform in 2007, and today we work with small and large government contractors and, interestingly, quite a few government agencies. Assisting me on this demo today is, of course, Josh, and was going to be my prospect. And I also have with me Lindsay Carey, who is our Vice President of Customer Success. So having said that, Josh, hello, and I can go straight into my presentation if that works.
Hello, yes, and you can hear me, yes?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. So you're Fedmine.
I am.
Excellent. Well, we are looking for a tool to help us be more productive in the federal space, in the government market. And so I'm really looking forward to your demo today so I can ask you a couple of questions.
Wonderful. That sounds great. So I'm going to go to the platform. Let's make it as interactive as we can. And I will start off first by going through our data sources, which are listed actually on our website. So if anyone goes to our website, right at the bottom, you can click on Federal Data Sources. We'll bring you onto this page. What we do is we're integrating data from FPDS-NG, which I'm sure everyone's familiar with, but it's where the federal contracts reside. We pull that data in every night via an XML web service, and we actually pull each and every row and column of data. We've been doing this since 2002, so while you'll see in the platform, we have data going back to 2004. We integrate, I always say the FPDS data is the spine of our platform. We integrate that with the solicitations that come from beta.sam now, but previously FBO. And we actually have original documents, some of them going back to 2012 in PDF format. We also pull in the grants database, the VIP database, bid protests. Interestingly, from USA Spending and ESRS, we actually pull in all the subcontract database at the task order level. And that is something that is very unique to Fedmine. Also, within the platform, you will find things like excluded parties and things like that we pull in from the fabulous database. All our data sources, as I mentioned, clearly listed up front. When our clients log in, this is a home screen. You can see at any point of time, you can go back and see data going back to 2004. This is a little chat feature for our clients within the platform. If they have any questions, we always answer. You could actually at any point of time see how spending is year over in the fiscal year that we are in. Everything is point and click. If I click into this number, you will see a listing of all the companies that are winning contracts. I can click on my graphs. If I click on the Army, you could see the spending across all the various bureaus, and I could further drill in and see who are the major bases that are awarding contracts within the Army Corps. And again, everything is very point and click. So if I click into any of these numbers, and I'll just try and click into Savannah, you could see the list of companies that are actually winning contracts that are based in, that are at the Savannah base of the Army Corps. We show our results graphically. You could see your top contractors, where the companies are headquartered, what are the top 10 NAICS code, and this is just the graphical first, just wanting to show you how the platform works and drills into the transactions. You could see the set of sites that are being used. You could actually see how much of it is going to small versus other and small, and this is just this contract being awarded out of the Savannah base in 2020. And you could see where the place of performance is. All our graphs are very interactive. I could click into the 7% that went to small business, and you now have a listing of companies that have won contracts at Savannah base that have been awarded as small business. If a company is a verified veteran, you'll actually see a little logo that tells you that this company is a verified veteran. And you could drill into the actual transactional details and see what the contract description is for. And you could further get into the FPDS detail, where we not only show you where the company is headquartered, you could see the place of performance, you could see the contracting office, the funding office. Many times they are the same, many times they're not. And this is where you'll see what the contract requirement is. And in a couple of seconds, when I show you a keyword search, we're really looking at the contract requirements in this transaction screen. You can see the NAICS codes, PSC codes, contracting officer information. If this contract is awarded under national interest action, you'll actually see that. So with the COVID pandemic happening now, you actually can see the contracts that have been awarded under the national interest action for COVID. You can see all the social statuses. This company is a verified veteran-owned business, so you actually see the verification and expiration date here. You could see the contract number, the amount, the expiration date, and in this case, we actually link the original solicitation that's coming from FBO, SAM. And obviously, if I click onto this, it will take me into that original solicitation. And you could obviously drill further into detail. So this is how the platform really allows our clients to drill into the transactional level detail on further as they want to. So I wanted to show you that. Having shown you how the platform really drills into the various, how it drills into the actual transaction screen. Couple of searches. I wanted to focus on searches our clients do all the time. The first one really is a contract search. And this is something that allows our clients to search for companies that are winning contracts in the type of work that they're doing. It's also very useful to search for teaming partners or subcontractors. And it's pulling all the filters that are there. Actually, I think we've got many filters in here. But it is keyword based. And Josh, if you don't mind, I was going to use a keyword of remediation, if that's okay.
Sure.
You have the ability to select a fiscal year. I'm going to leave it at 2020, but obviously you could go back. You could select a range. You could fine tune by agencies down to the base level. So if you want to just see what's happening at Army and then select the Army Corps, you could absolutely do that. I'm not going to do that for the search. You could fine tune by place of performance, especially if you're trying to find a teaming partner or subcontractor who's doing work in a specific area. This is super helpful. You could add on NAICS codes. You could add on PSC codes. You could fine tune by category management. So various ways to filter the search, including solicitation procedures. If you are just looking for contracts where the solicitation was architecture engineering, you could do that. This is where we have the national interest action codes, and you could search just for COVID contracts. So just a variety of ways of searching. I'm not going to select anything. I just want to see the search results. And And this is my search results. So you could actually see that about 245 companies have won contracts worth $379 million just in FY20. Energy is your top agency awarding the contracts, followed by USAID, interestingly, and Homeland and Army Corps. You could see who your top primes are. You could, again, see what are the primary NAICS codes used. Now, a lot of times we find that just doing a keyword search really helps you fine-tune your NAICS code, and in this case, it's pretty clear that 562910 is the primary NAICS code that we should be using for remediation. And more searches that I'll do through this demo will include the specific NAICS code. You could see the PSC code, set asides, place of performance, competition, and again, small versus other than small. List of companies winning contracts, and you could absolutely drill into any of these transactions to see what it is for. And this is a USAID contract. And again, we could get into the details of the specific transaction. You can view the RFP. Everything is very much on the screen. If there were subcontracts that were reported on the specific transaction, we actually would you would see a little heading here that would list our subcontractor. So getting back to that search, this is the basic contract search that gets used quite a bit by us to understand who's winning contracts, what are my primary NAICS codes. that I need to be focusing on, especially as I'm looking at creating RFP searches, and just giving me a very good idea of who could be my possible agencies, who could be my possible large businesses that I might want to work with, and just get a good understanding of that specific field. If this is the right search for you, you could absolutely save the search. What saving the search within the entire Fedmine platform does is it allows you to get email alerts based on any of the searches that you save. Everything within the platform can be downloaded into spreadsheets, into PDFs. You can email a specific report out of the platform too. So a lot of functionality is already built into the platform. And again, this was a very basic contract search that we did, and we just wanted to see the results. Another way that the same contract search gets done, which could be useful, especially as you're trying to understand who are the contracting officers that are awarding contracts under specific keywords, is to just do the same contract search, and you will actually do a search contracting office, and you can see a listing of the contracting officer name and the contracts that the specific person has awarded. So a couple of functionalities with basic contract search. Wanting to focus now on just understanding a little bit, and we are going to say that 562910 is our primary NAICS code. Want to understand more about that NAICS code. Where are those contracts being awarded? And a couple of easy ways for me to do that is to use my industry visor. And just going straight to one of our ready-made filters of our NAICS industry profile sector, you actually have the ability to enter your NAICS code. You could have a variety of saved NAICS codes. So a lot of us have many NAICS codes already saved. You could invoke them at any point of time. You could also just enter a keyword. So if I want to know and I want to make sure I'm not missing any keywords, NAICS, you could actually just type in your keyword and do a NAICS lookup, and we will pull it up for you. So you could fine tune this search by agency if you just want to see within a specific agency. And I am going to show what the results look like for the last 3.5 years in this NAICS code. And this gives you a quick overall view of who are your top agencies that are using this NAICS code. Who are your top 10 bureaus? Obviously, I could drill in any one of them, and this would take me into a list of companies that are winning those contracts. Who are my top 10 prime contractors? And this is over a 3.5 year period. Set asides, top 10 states where companies are headquartered, counties, how spending has been year over year. And you could see it's been slowly increasing. And at any point of time, you have the ability to see the spend across all years. And you could go back to 2004 for presentation purposes. I just look at the last 5-6 years. And I think I need to drop 2014. But you could see across all years how spending has been across the entire federal government. And we generally show them by civil, defense, independent, and legislative, not in this case, but sometimes you'll see the legislative agencies too. You always can expand any one of, if you see a plus sign, you could always expand, take you into the bureaus. So you, again, have the ability to further drill in. So this truly gets to be super helpful as we're trying to understand and plan our strategy that in terms of focusing and marketing and understanding further which are the agencies that would use the services or the NAICS code that you have. While I focused on NAICS code, you can obviously do the search for PSE codes and also categories. So just a couple of many ways of doing that, this type of analysis. So before I get on to a couple of many more features within Fedmine, Josh, any questions, or I'm gonna?
Yeah, I do. First of all, it's a good looking system. I quote unquote, I live in Utah, and our primary NAICS is 562-910, right? We're a remediation company. Right off the bat, who are my targets, right, within Utah? Because I want to start closer to home versus going far. And the reason I want to know those targets is because I want to know the top 2 or 3 companies, maybe some small, maybe some large, that are actually winning contracts at those locations in my home state, because I know that at least from getting off the ground, I'm going to need to subcontract before I prime. And so can you show me, who some of my targets are from a federal perspective or military perspective in Utah, and then which companies I can reach out to and attempt to subcontract with?
Absolutely. So a couple of ways, many ways of doing that. One is the easiest way that we use a lot is going back to my contract search, putting in a range of days, and we could, select, I'm just going to select 2019 and, let's see, because that has the full year. Putting in Utah as my place of performance. It helps if I remember my states. And of course, putting in my NAICS code. So this is one easy way of doing it. That's just a search. And you can see 33 companies that are doing work in Utah, where the place of performance is Utah, under this principal NAICS code. You could see how many of them are small versus other than small. So if you want to just focus on the larger ones, you could absolutely do that. And here is a listing of the companies. You could drill into these transactions and see what the dollars are for. So we could say, okay, let's understand what the specific company has won the contract for. And this allows you to go in and see exactly if this is something that you can do, it's something that you want to reach out to the company and work with, totally something for you to look at and understand that actual transaction.
Hey, Arkisha, can you go back a screen?
Yep.
I just want to make sure. So I'm looking at, all right, so this is Portage, and I know who they are. They're down the street, but I see what looks like a bunch of, are these contract actions, or are these individual?
All contract. These are all contract actions this company's won for FY19.
Is there a way for me to easily tell how many actual contracts they have?
Yep, we could actually go into their company profile.
Excellent.
You could also roll up this search. Sorry to interject you. This is Lindsay. You could roll up your search by contract number instead, if you wanted to view it that way, instead of by individual actions.
Okay. No, just curious, because I saw all those transactions and I was just curious how many actual contracts, because I'm looking for a company that I would prefer a company that has more than one contract, right? They're more, ingrained within the local area. But yeah, as long as I can identify contract versus contract action, that'd be helpful.
Yes, definitely. So I would roll it up by contract number if you were going to use that particular search.
Okay, that's no, that's cool. That's all I've got for right now.
Okay, and this takes me actually into the company profile. So once you select, and if you say this is a company you want to look further into, you could actually, go and look at their company profiles. You will see everything about the company that you will find in SAM. You can see all the business socioeconomic, and this tells you it is a Native American, Alaska Native-owned company. You will find some executive compensation, and this is coming from USA Spending. You'll find emails of many folks that are within the specific company, Portage Environmental, and you will also find all the certification information. So I guess at some point of time, this company was an 8A that expired in 2007.
Hey,
yeah.
Go back up. Did I see subcontract info?
You did.
Okay, so and does that tell me who they sub to?
So this, on your right-hand side, you can see all the contracts. And right here, you could see contracts on GSA. And on the left-hand side, you'll actually see all the subcontracts this company has received. So you could actually get into any one of these subcontracts by just clicking on them, and it'll take you into the details. And I can show you that quickly. And you could see that in this case, this is a subcontract they received for $53 million.
Nice. Okay. Thank you.
And no worries, and good question. And actually, I'm going to go back. And if the company has reported its subcontracts, you'll find a little green box right here, and you could actually see all the subcontractors this company is working with and has reported. And they haven't done any recent reporting, but you actually can see any subcontractors that they have worked with. So yep, you could, all that, the company profiles are super helpful. You could analyze a company and based on the type of, by place of performance and NAICS codes. So a variety of ways for you to do that. And if this is a company that you want to work with, that you want to track, you know, you could, or as one of your competitors, you could always add it to my competitors or my companies. So, and what that really does is, again, you'll start getting email notifications anytime they win contracts. The other easy way that a lot of our Army AEC clients have is something that we've done, especially if the Army Corps is your focus, is to really look at spending based on the various divisions and get into the districts. And I'm looking at Utah, I guess it would be Pacific, I'm not sure. But you know, you have the ability to look at the graphs. You could see how the spend is year over year. You could see spending by NAICS code down to a district level. So a variety of ways for you, again, to see what is happening. And I'm just going to do the North Atlantic as an example. And you could see the various NAICS sectors that get used. So this dashboard is our Army Corps dashboard that's been created. Some of our clients do like it. It makes life easy. Because you could also say, I just want to see, you know, what are my women-owned businesses and how are those transactions across the entire Army Corps. So again, and all our graphs are interactive, and that's pretty standard within Fedmine. Our graphs will be interactive. And obviously, if I drill into any of these transactions, it's going to take me into a listing of the companies that are winning contracts. Since we do pull in the sub-award information, you actually could even see within the Army Corps what are the subcontracts being awarded across all districts and drill into the transactions. Or you could actually get into a subcontract wiser and you can fine-tune searches by NAICS code. So we could totally focus on that. You could select a date range. You could here again put in a state. So if you want to see all the subcontracts that have been awarded, and I'm not sure how much is reported, this is really dependent on how good a person is, how good a company is in reporting their subcontracts. But let's search for subcontracts that have been awarded. Place of performance of Utah, NAICS code of 562910. And I'm going to select all because I don't know how good people are in reporting. And I have about 100 sub-awards that have taken place over the last 7-8 years under my specific NAICS code of 562910. You could see who my top 10 primes are. So again, I would focus on AECOM and Portage and Parsons if I'm trying to look for work. You could see who the top 10 agencies are, top awardees. And yeah, and you could drill in and see all the transaction details and of course, get into that level of detail. So this is the prime contract that Arctic Slope got for $1.5 million. Here's your prime contract. You could click this and it'll take you into that FPDS transaction. And I should show you what that looks like. And this is the subcontract for transportation and disposal. And that, when I clicked into the prime, this is it actually takes me into a task order analysis since this seems to be a contract with many IDIQs on it. And I went into the mod 0 because I want to show you the specific screen where if subcontracts are reported anywhere, we will tie it to that actual transaction.
Hey, Arkisha, what's a mod 0?
A mod 0 is the first contract that's awarded. It's the original contract.
So all the contract actions that come after it refer back to the mod 0?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And yeah, thank you. Okay, so I know I've gone over quite a few. I wanted to show my subcontracts. Again, very useful for companies understanding who are the primes that are awarding work, and especially as you build your strategy. Also helps you understand and backtrack into the pricing, which I think is always super important. Federal opportunities, I'm going to focus on a couple of them. So the RFP search, this is coming from Sam. You have the ability to fine tune. If you could say, I have clients who say, I just want to see pre-solicitations. And we could do that. You could save as many searches as you want. We do not restrict the searches. And again, all the searches that you save, you will start getting email notifications. You could search by keywords. You could search by place of performance. I am just going to search by NAICS code. But even our search is keyword enabled, so you could enter something like remediation or anything, and you'll see all the pre-solicit opportunities that are in a pre-solicitation state and are open. And you could drill into any one of these transactions. And this will tell you exactly what the subject is, the agency, the NAICS code. If it is a set-aside acquisition, you'll find that right here. When we do keyword searches, we not only look at the subject, but we actually look at the procurement description. And we will have all the documents here. If this is something you want to follow, you could add it to my pipeline. And what that really does is that you will start getting email notifications anytime your search criteria is met. And I just want to show you. So this morning, I had quite a few alerts for my RFPs. I saved many searches, and you can save them and get all your email alerts. So these are just some RFP alerts that I have saved. You could also save industry days. I think that gets to be super helpful, saving industry days for agencies and things, and you will start getting email notifications. So, and then these are some of my contract notifications. With all this COVID crisis, I ended up saving a contract alert for where the FAR clause of urgency was pulled. And you could see that these are some of my email alerts, including the obligations happening. And unfortunately, we're going to see some of that, but we're going to see a lot of contract awards too.
Hey, Arkisha.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, question for you. Your alerts, I'm getting alerts for what? When it first hits Sam, and then also any updates, is that right?
Yes.
Gotcha.
And updates if you save it. If you save a specific opportunity, then you'll get the updates.
Okay, and I'm going to know it's an update versus a new opportunity that I'm looking at?
Yes, you will. And that's part of what Lindsay and her team do. And Lindsay, I don't know if this might be a good opportunity for you to talk a little bit about the onboarding process.
Yeah. Sounds like your voice is going out too, so it would be good to give you a break. You've been talking for a long time. So yes, to answer your question, you get notifications when something new is added that meets your search criteria for both RFPs as well as any contract awards, also any companies that you're following. And then you can also add things to your personal pipeline. It can either be a personal pipeline or a company pipeline. You can even add notes to it. You can download it to PDF, Excel. And what myself and my team do for onboarding is we provide initial training and then follow-up training, ongoing support through the life of the subscription, and we make sure that you have your searches set up correctly. So we actually help you do that. And make sure that you know how to use the platform, because it's much more than just getting those alerts. As you can see, there's a lot that you can go in and do, lots of different types of reports and more market research that you can do for proposals and competitive intelligence, in addition to being alerted of things that matter to you.
Okay, and you know, Lindsay, we don't currently use any. I mean, we've got a free tool today that we use to try to find opportunities, but it does not drill down to the level clearly that Fedmine does. And I think I know where all of our stuff is. Can you show me? Can you run a quick report for, again, for where I'm at? Because if I want to make sure that this does what it needs to do for my company, I want to see. I do want to see pre-solicitation include. Does that include sources sought, or is that?
Yeah. No, so sources sought is separate. You could run them separately, or you could have one that's sources sought and pre-solicitations.
Yeah, do sources sought pre-solicitations, if you would, please, and show me for my primary NAICS 562910 for Utah, and I want to see if there's enough opportunity, at least at the moment, because stuff comes in and out all the time, but I'd be curious to see whether there's enough opportunity locally or if I need to start going outside the state.
Okay. I have one pre-solicitation right now.
Okay. All right. And that's for the engineers. Okay.
Yep. That is for the engineers. And yeah, you could have, yeah. And then this is your detail and you could go in and add on to your pipeline. Yep. And it's a total small business set aside.
Gotcha. Can you run something else for me real quick, Keisha?
Sure.
We think we know who we should be targeting in the market, right? I mean, we've got a strategic and a tactical business. We have strategic and tactical business intelligence business targets, right? Strategically, you know, yeah, we're looking at who are the top 2 or 3 organizations we should be targeting. We'll say it in the country. But tactically, yeah, I want to know not just Utah, but for the country, who buys what I sell, how much do they buy, how often do they buy it? And because I can't do my sales strategy without knowing that stuff. Can you run that for me?
Yeah, so again, a couple of ways, many ways to do it. You know, obviously I would say RFP is more keeping aware, you know, it's hitting the street. This is where you're going to save your searches, and you could save as many searches as you want. If you are looking at, you know, within Utah, you want to know what's being awarded. I would absolutely say within a specific NAICS code, we would use the industry visor and save, you know, and look at the NAICS code searches and get into, you know, just save it. And I'm going to do the same one.
Well, hey, I have a question. Is it, am I going to get better results if I do keyword or do NAICS code or keyword remediation or both?
You know, for remediation, I am thinking, and, you know, this is where this NAICS code seems to be pretty good from what we've seen, but you could save searches for both, you know, but this would be one that I would definitely use to see how my spending is for Utah. So, Lindsay, would this be one of the right searches to do? I mean, I feel I want to go back to contract search, but anyway,
yeah,
I'm going to do the.
I think contract search, I think you could probably even use some of the searches within the GEO reports. If I'm not mistaken, that's a whole suite of reports where the primary driver is going to be based on geographic location.
Yes.
You could also, you know, you could do multiple states at a time. If you know, your primary work is in Utah and you don't really go outside that state, but you want to expand a little bit, you could select states surrounding Utah as well, and you could have as many searches as you want. You could have a primary search and then maybe a secondary with some other states of interest.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay.
And we definitely see that more within this industry versus our IT and professional services focused customers who can work anywhere. But within the AEC industry, we definitely see more focus on location and having primary and secondary searches, because in the morning, you're very busy, and you might want to, just hone in on that primary email alert first, and then later on in the afternoon, you can get to the secondary. So that's always an option and something that we discuss during onboarding too.
Hey, another quick question. We have a potential teaming partner in Alabama. They're outside Redstone, and it's like the second or third time in the last, I don't know, 6 months that Redstone has popped up. How can I figure out all acquisitions like within a military installation like Redstone Arsenal, based on what I do? Because maybe I want to prime something.
Yeah, definitely. So you could search by base, or you could decide to search, by zip code, wherever Redstone Arsenal is, or by county. There's different options. If you search by base, I would, make sure that it is actually that base is the contracting agency, because, that's the only way that it would show up if they're contracting, or you could change it to funding. But these are, again, things that we always assist you with, either during training or as your subscription goes on. Artisha mentioned that chat box there in the corner. It's used very frequently for, scenarios such as the one that you just mentioned. But you could search by Redstone Arsenal. That's not you, Sace, is it? Or
no, I don't think.
No, I don't. Well, I just saw Redstone a minute ago.
You did?
Yeah. Let's see here.
Yeah, it's in alphabetical order. So there it is.
Me, okay.
You don't have to choose a major. You can go right to the base.
And then, yeah, let's see.
This is just for FY 2020, and keep in mind that DoD always has a 90-day delay, up to a 90-day delay before making the contract.
Now, is this for what I do, or is this for all contract opportunities?
This is just all the contracts that have been awarded at Redstone Army Base, and then this allows you to see which are your top NAICS codes, and I would say the 541330 gets used here a lot more because of the type of work that's being done.
Okay.
But this gives you a good idea.
Can you edit this report and put my NAICS code in?
Yeah, I could go back and just do that. We did Army. And we could add on your NAICS code.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what comes up.
Just one company for FY20.
Okay.
CFS, but I could expand the search, or I could go back a previous year and see what's happening.
Yeah, go back a previous year, see if anything pops up. If not, it's probably under a different NAICS code, or possibly under a different NAICS code.
Yep, and it's just KFS, so you could get into, and then you could see what it is for.
All right, so I may want to be talking to KFS. Okay, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Couple of other things that I do want to show that can be useful, just depends on how much of a detail you want to get into, is looking at federal expenditure by contracting office. Some of our clients do like to dig into this information, and I am going to get straight into Army. So there are a couple of ways for you looking at this, and I'm hoping I selected the right one. But you could, again, say you just want to look at a specific area, so you could select Utah, or you could say, I just want to see what's happening at the Army Corps. And I'm showing 3.5 years, but you could go back, you could delete years. And right here, you could see all the various contracting officers at the Army. For presentation purposes, we generally show the first 5, and then we go into showing you all of them. And let's just presume that this is the one the mobile Alabama is the one you're looking at, you could actually further fine-tune the search by NAICS code. And this will take you into all the NAICS code spending at a specific contracting office. And we've sort of color-coded, so it's just a Q3, but we want to look at the 562,910. And you could see how the spend has been year over year. And obviously, you could drill into any of these numbers, and it'll take you into that, the list of companies that are winning contracts in that specific office within that specific NAICS code that you selected. So this search really allows, I mean, if you really want to get into the details, the agency expenditure searches are very, very useful to drill in and see what's happening. You know, by NAICS codes, by categories, by PSC codes, and by contracting offices. So that was one more thing that I wanted to show. Lindsay, what else am I missing? The Maytalk Visor, and I think then I can.
Opportunity search for expiring contracts.
That's right, I forgot. I do that. So before I get into the Maytalk Visor, the opportunity search is really looking at contracts that are expiring over a specific period of time. And that's really, you want to know what could be expiring, what contract could be coming up in the next 12, 24 months as you're planning your strategy and building your relationships either with a prime or with the agency. Or even if you want to look, you know, if you have an 8A or something and an 8A is expiring, this is a nice way for you to understand the companies where the 8As could be expiring to. But I'm just going to search for companies with contracts expiring in the next 12 months. You could look for a specific company. I'm, in this case, going to use a keyword. And I'm using remediation. You could fine-tune these searches again by a variety of factors. Since I'm going to try and keep it very simple, but I have a lot more coming up. These are the contracts where remediation is a key requirement, which are coming up or which are expiring in the next 12 months. You also, this is nice because you could now say, okay, I just want to focus on the 562,910 keyword. But you could say, I'm curious to know which are the various NAICS that the remediation contracts are expiring under. So again, you could fine tune the search even just by clicking on, you know, the graph or at the time of setup, either way. But right here, you could see that this contract's coming up for expiration in the next 1 week. So that's too soon. But, you know, our clients will use this to understand where the contract is, what the contract number is, drill into the details. Wherever possible, we would actually have the original solicitation ID linked to it. So you have access to that. Presuming if this is the one that you want to go after or you think that's of interest to you, you could add it to your pipeline. What adding things to your pipeline really allows you to do is to get into my pipeline and get on one screen all the RFPs that you might be following or all the expiring contracts. Allows you to make your notes. And if you have more than one person within your team who's going to use Fedmine, you could actually assign a specific opportunity or expiring contract to that person too. So this is just some of the functionality that we built in within Fedmine, and you could absolutely download this into spreadsheet.
Arkisha, you know, I've got a couple of folks that work for me that are going to be, you know, that are business development. I don't want them to be able to frickin' switch back and forth who's on what. I want to make sure that either if you either add it to your own pipeline, but once it's added, you know, is there some process here for assigning between business developers at the company, or can anybody just change whoever's in charge? The reason I ask is because from a commissions perspective, normally the person that puts an opportunity on the pipeline and is managing it is the one I'm paying commissions to. So
Right.
what kind of control is there on changing who's assigned an opportunity?
So the couple of ways, and I think Lindsay had touched upon it a little bit, that you have the ability to say, you know, I'm going to manage the team pipeline, but and see who's doing what. You have the ability to assign it to someone also. I think, Lindsay, am I missing anything?
Yeah, so for your use case there, Josh, I would have, and oftentimes we see this with companies who have multiple users of Fedmine, you know, 3 or more or 10, let's say. Each individual has their own pipeline. So they add something to their pipeline and no one else sees that, unless it's the one person who could be a proposal manager that sees everyone's pipeline and sees what everyone is tracking. So
and they all roll up, right?
What do you mean roll up?
Well, if I've got 3 salespeople that are all managing their own pipelines, is there a report that I can run that shows me all opportunities for all my salespeople?
Yeah, so if you were the manager and you wanted to keep track of all of your salespeople, you could have the company pipeline view. And it can be turned on or off at any time. You know, it just depends on how you guys want to set that up based on your account. But that's 100% possible, where there's one person that kind of manages it and sees what everyone is tracking and following, and then the individual salespeople, they're just focused on their own things.
Gotcha. Hey, another quick question based on something you said. You know, expiring contracts. I mean, so much of what we do, you know, it's sort of one and done. There's not a whole bunch of. I mean, once the project's done, it's done. Based on the fact, I'll tell you what I'm focused on. Maybe you can help me with. Based on the fact that the government has moved full bore towards strategic sourcing and category management. IDCs, you know, indefinite delivery contracts, or IDIQs, MATOCs, MACs, whatever you want to call it. We know we must get on at least 3 teams or 3 contracts, IDIQs, IDCs, right, during the next 12 months. How do I create a report, or how do I figure out, of all these opportunities coming out, which ones are IDCs versus just standalone contracts?
Yes, good question. So there's a few different ways. Within the expiring contract search, you could choose IDV yes. So that's a filter. We also have the MATOC visor, which Artisha is going to show you. This is very much still in beta stage, accepting any and all feedback, but we do have this reporting suite within Fedmine available for our AEC customers. And then also you touched on category management. We do have a category management suite of reports as well that's just using the GSA categories, so you could look at that for facilities and construction and refine it further by subcategory as well. So there's a few different ways to do that, but there's filters throughout any search or report.
Okay, so and I understand I'm looking at historical past contracts, etc. I mean, let me give you a real world scenario. There was a Corps of Engineers indefinite delivery contract that came up for acquisition, and we just had no visibility on it. I mean, it just surprised the hell out of us, and it was like we were racing to find a team to join. And so I just want to make sure that, you know, like, you know, I can get daily reports, right, from the system. Can I get a report that just says these are all the indefinite delivery contracts that are in source selection, pre-solicitation, or draft solicitation? Is that possible?
Yes. So that would be like a keyword filter that you'd want to use within your RFP searches. You know, you could do certain keywords or certain NAICS plus an and of IDV or IDIQ or MATOC or MAC. You know, that's definitely something that you could do.
So we save those,
Yeah, so here's a question, and this is not me troubleshooting. I'm honestly curious. I know within FPDS, there is a field for, is it an IDV, right?
Yeah, no, that's simple. That's again, we'll go to our contract search. Actually, yeah.
No, but my question is, when new solicitations are released, is there also a field or code that I can be searching by and say, if this field has IDV or IDIQ or whatever, it'll bring it up? Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense, but because the source itself, FBO or beta.sam, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe that's something that the contracting officer is inputting there as a field. I think
you're right. I think you're right. That's why I'm asking, because I was like, I don't think I can search by that.
I think it's a good idea.
So in the meantime, we would tell you to keep these searches on for MADOC, IDIQs.
Okay.
So I just did a search for MADOC, and you could see all the various MADOCs highlighted. You actually have an IDIQ coming up in the 562910.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you have all of that.
Yeah, Arkisha, I can't overemphasize. I'm tired of my business development team, doing all this activity, focused on the onesie twosies, and it's all tactical. And strategically, with category frickin' management, it's killing us because we don't have the visibility. So as long as I can do this and I can get a report, that will make our strategic efforts a lot easier.
Yep, totally understand that. So you could do that. And we did create this MADOC report, and we always this is one thing of being a small business and being agile, is the fact that we depend on our clients also to tell us that, hey, it would be cool if you could do X, Y, and Z, which is how this MADOC Wiser came on board, because we had someone say, it would be cool if I could see all the various MADOCs that are out there. And we said, really? So, this is just an example. So I might say, I want to see all the MADOCs that Parsons is on, and I'm just going to use them as an example. And you could see, and this is something that, we are yet building, we are yet fine tuning, but you could see all the various MADOCs that they are on. You could see the contract numbers. Based on this, you could say, oh, I want to see what this specific MADOC is, and we could actually go in and search by, these various MADOCs. So we're constantly adding and updating this all the time. But again, this is pretty cool. On the IT side, we use this a lot, and we have companies tracking this all the time to see who's winning contracts on specific MADOCs and IDIQs. And then it also helps you go back and see that, I lost this task order, who got it, what price was it at, so that you know what's being awarded and where you might need to be on your pricing.
Gotcha. And I'm a member of SAME. Can I get a deal? Is there better pricing?
There is. Thanks to our relationship with SAME, we are providing all new clients that are sustaining members a 10% discount. So, yep. Okay. Very cool. Very good. I have no other questions. Very detailed. I really appreciate it. Oh, my pleasure. Okay. I'm no longer prospect. Now I'm just Josh. No, that was real. Hey, that was real. What's that?
I said, good job, prospect Josh.
Thank you. Prospect Josh is happy. So good. All right. So is there anything else that you guys wanted to cover? Don't you guys, where do you go? Where do I go if I want to sign up and get my discount? You could reach out to me directly, or I think and I'm happy to reach out to everyone and just give them my email. My email is Archisha. Josh, do you want to take over? I'm not Josh. Tamal, do you want to take over the presentation and show the slide? Please. That might be helpful. Yeah. Figure out how to do this. Yep.
So thank you again for the presentation. It was very well informed and detailed oriented. I think it will be very helpful for our members. But as Josh mentioned, you do for everyone that's an SAME sustaining member who will be a new subscriber will get a discount for Fedmine.us. You can contact Arkisha at Fedmine.us or click here. There will be a PDF version of this presentation where you'll be able to click there as well. I would take this time for everyone to submit any questions via the chat functionality. Let me go in and check to see what we have so far. Yeah, we give it a few seconds just for everyone to gather their thoughts or any questions they might have for you.
No worries.
Hey, in the meantime, while we're waiting for questions, I hope everybody understands, especially the smaller businesses, that as a result of the president's declaration, all set-asides are pretty much gone. So small business, woman-owned, 8A, all that fun stuff, that pretty much goes out the window as a result of the emergency declaration. So just some interesting food for thought.
We do have a question in the chat from Mike Lukowski. Is your pricing based on the size of the company?
No, it's based on the number of users and the number of downloads. And a download really is a download into a spreadsheet, and I didn't really show much of that, but happy to have a one-on-one call with you and show you how it works if you want.
Okay. And if anyone else has any other questions, they can contact you via email.
Yes, totally.
Good. Thank you again. It was a great presentation. For our upcoming events, we have part 2 of the demo of GovWin IQ. That's tomorrow. There, click the registration. But I'll make a PDF version and post it up on our website. But you can go to SAME.org and go to the calendar of events. Their registration will be linked to that day for tomorrow. It's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As far as for 2020 JETS, JETC, we are still making the decision of whether it will be held or not. It will be made by April 15th, so just be on the lookout through our various media platforms. Facility management workshop is scheduled for July 29th through the 31st in San Antonio, Texas. We are in discussion currently if we are making it a virtual conference or a webinar series, but that's still being in the discussion. So again, just to be on a lookout via our media platforms. But with all that being said, thank you for everyone who has joined the webinar. Attendees wise, thank you again for our presentations or presenters for the presentation. You can find this recording on our YouTube page, SAME, and it will also, the link for this specific recording will be posted on the Small Business COI webpage at SAME.org. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, everyone.